Well, I tell you what, Steve always has you stand up and greet each other around your pews. Why don't we do that this morning, too? This morning, taking the scripture out of Psalms 91, and I've used my sermon for that. My scripture will be in three parts, and it'll be in the sermon. First off, I'd like to ask you two questions. The first question is, every hand in this church should go up. Do you believe in God? All right. Second question, do you believe in angels? Third question, have you ever had the experience of feeling an angel around you? Good. This morning, I'm going to talk about some blessings from God and what God does to us and for us. The first scripture comes out of Psalms 91, verses 1 through 4. Whoever goes to the Lord for safety, whoever remains under the protection of the Almighty, can say to him, "You are my defender and my protector. You are my God, and in you I trust. He will keep you safe from all hidden dangers and from all deadly diseases. He will cover you with his wings. He will be safe. You will be safe in his care. His faithfulness will protect you and defend you." And while I was writing this sermon, I was beginning to wonder how blessed we are. How blessed we are. Have you counted your blessings this morning, or this week, or this month, or this year? If not, allow me to just kind of prime the pump a little bit. Start with broad blessings, like family members, close friends, fellow Christians who help you take your journey in life. Tell the Lord how thankful you are for each of these, naming them one by one. Next, think about a spot that you was in, a specific spot, like home, like church, like car, like the service station, or store, or restaurant, or fitness center. You complete the list. How blessed are we? And don't forget your health, your eyesight, your hearing, your taste, your smell. How easy to take all of these gifts as granted just in there. And yes, clothing to keep you warm, sufficient food to nourish your body, a job that pays the bills, good books that stimulate your mind, laughter, tears, drama, everything to keep us going. And we dare not forget the Bible. The Bible is a very important part of our lives. And those who teach it, those who preach it, the music, as we heard this morning, all of these that we enjoy, worship service together, and a few minutes of leisure time to relax each week enables us to be refreshed. Psalms 34 verse 1, I will always thank the Lord. I will never stop praising him. In Psalms 33 verses 2 to 3, give thanks to the Lord with harps, with strings of instruments. Sing a new song to him. Play the harp with new skills and with joy. But there's one other thing that we need not to forget, and it comes in the second part of the scripture this morning. You have made the Lord your defender, the Most High your protector. And so no disease will strike you. No violence will come near your home. He is there to protect us, to guide us, to take away the hurt that comes into us. Some time ago, I heard one say, God doesn't love me anymore. Why doesn't he love him anymore? I don't know, but he doesn't love me anymore. And he stops to think, and he says, have I been doing what I should be doing, letting God be my defender? He says, yes, that's what I've done. I've tried to do everything on my own and not let God be in with me. We think about it. The third part of the scripture comes here in verses 11 through 13. God will put his angels in charge of you to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you up with their hands to keep you from hurting your feet on the stones. You will tramp down lions and snakes. Angels. That is the second part of my sermon. Let us be thankful for the angels, those unseen guardians who come and work overtime, who never slumber or sleep. Think of all the accidents they've stopped, all the little children they've saved. The scripture speaks clearly of angels. In Hebrews 13, verse 2, remember to welcome strangers into your home. They are some who did not welcome strangers, and they did not welcome the angels. I've said for years that if we in the church would offer a friendly hand when someone comes new into the church, welcome them as the angels welcomed them. Think of it this way. That new face that greets you at the door on a Sunday morning may be an angel. Maybe one of Gabriel's teammates. They look and they sound just like us, but they are not human. Maybe you might want to pinch the guy next to you or the lady next to you and see if they really are who they are. For they may be an angel sitting right next to you that you don't even realize. Yes, they look, they sound, and they act just like us, but they are not human. They are something of supernatural creation. They are from heaven above. They are God's messengers to us. If you have ever encountered an angel, you're never the same. I can say for sure that there are angels out there looking over us. Many years ago, a mentor of mine, a dear friend, told me this story about a missionary. A missionary was home on leave, traveling by car from church to church. And late one afternoon, he was driving along in the evening rain. Facing a long and lonely night journey, he asked the Lord to help him stay awake and alert. A few minutes later, he came upon a man off on the side of the road, thumbing a ride. Although he rarely picked up strangers, something told him to pick up this stranger. So he pulls his car over, and the stranger gets in, and they begin talking. And as they're talking, he is glad to find out that he is one of faith. And they were sharing their stories, and they was really enjoying each other's company as they was driving down the road. Pretty soon the stranger got in the car and said, "This is where I get off." And the missionary said that, "Before you go, let's have a cup of coffee together." And they pulled into this roadside cafe, had a cup of coffee and a donut, enjoying their talk and everything. And then suddenly the man said, "I must go." And so they got up and they shook hands and they prayed for each other and went their separate ways. Man got into his car and drove a little ways, and as he was driving, he thought, "By George, I didn't get his name or his address or his telephone number. I'm going to turn around and go back." And so he turns around and goes back into the coffee shop and asks the man there back at the counter and says, "Where'd that fellow go that was sitting here with me a minute ago?" He was kind of shocked in what the fellow answered. He says, "What fellow? You was sitting there by yourself." Sure enough, as he looked over, there was the empty cup of coffee, and there was the cup still full of coffee. The missionary glanced at the table and wondered, where is he gone? So as he returned to his car and put his key in the ignition, he thought to himself, wait a minute. When that stranger got into the car, it was pouring down rain, but he was dry. He was dry. The psalmist writes in Psalms 91:11-12, God will put his angels in charge of you to protect you wherever you may go. They will hold you up with their hands to keep you from hurting your feet on the stone. God's special messengers are often invisible. It's amazing. It really is amazing how many of us have a story to tell about an angel, but we fail to tell them. Take the time. It will strengthen your faith. Often it will encourage you to do more. Often it's not until later, after we've had the time to think over what transpired. We realize how difficult it is sometimes to really see what God is doing for us. It's really hard to see the things that God really does for us. And you look at Psalms 91:14-16, and we hear these words. I will serve those who love me. That's God speaking to us. We'll protect those who know me, and we all know God. No, who knows me as Lord of lords and King of kings. When they call to me, I will answer them. When they are in trouble, I will be with them. I will reinsure them and honor them. I will reward them with long life. I will save them. Think about it. Think about the angels that are out there today. I made light of it by saying, pinch your neighbor to see if they're an angel. I, for one, can testify that there is angels out there. My wife and I was in a pretty bad wreck out in the country. Car had rode 3 or 4 times. My wife couldn't get to the cell phone because she had her seatbelt on. And out of nowhere, 2 men showed up. Wife asked him to call 911. He says, I don't know, my phone hasn't been working in this area. At that moment, his phone started working. And he called 911 for us. I didn't get the name of the people, but sure to me, I believe that they was 2 angels from God that got us out of that car. So when you think about it, and you see someone, and I know we all do this, when we go down the highway, we see someone standing there with his thumb out. And we all pass them. We pass them. But there's one thing. That might be an angel sent to you from God to help you on your journey when you think about it. The beggar outside the door with the canteen hanging on it, asking for a donation. You ever stop to think that that might be an angel? You ever thought about it? The beggar is pounding on your door, wanting a handout. That might be an angel. Sent from God. You might be having problems. Who knows? And that angel is knocking on your door. TV show Angel has 3 people in it. And they always show up in the time of trouble. People don't know them, don't recognize them. But they're angels from God in the script. That happens in real life. Real life. This morning, as we sit here in this church, as we go home in our cars, as we begin to go our own ways this morning, stop and think. There's 2 things I want you to do when you go out. The first one is I want you to thank God for this day. I want you to thank God for your family and for your friends. I want you to thank God for caring for you. The second thing, I want you to think about the next person you see panhandling. Person on the side of the road. Person walking in the rain. Stop and think for a minute. Is this person going to help me? And when you talk to God in your prayers at night, lift up to Him. Lift up to Him your church family, your minister, your choir. For they are part of worship that we cannot do without. Yes, I'm standing here preaching, but I'm not the one in this pulpit. Dr. Steve is the one. Give him your support. Give him your reality. Rally around him. And hope and pray that God will imprint in him new ideas, refresh him as a new stream in the waters.